All right. Well, Kufar, Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Crossing the Crescent discussion group. This is a once-a-week live stream show dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. We are coming to you live from the depths of the Catholic cave here in Dar al-Harb, Kafiristan, and it is Coldistan. I was going to mention a meme that our sister Darcy had posted in our Skype group. And I tell you what, it was inappropriate for the show.
Right, but it's cool.
But I sat there and I had a belly laugh at it. There's some things that you just kind of laugh at, and that one I just because it is cold. So I hope everybody's out there staying warm, staying out of the weather, and avoiding the cold that we are suffering from. I have caulking still on my fingers prior to the show. The Queen had me out there caulking our sliding glass door because we noticed over Christmas it was about 5 below, 10 below here last year. So she said last Christmas, she goes, Sekifer, you need to get out there and you need to caulk that sucker. And I'm like, I got this, Queen. I'll get right out there. It's been over a year, pushing 13 months, but I finally got it done this afternoon. And we are not going to have any cold air coming in from that Amajama during this cold snap. Hopefully, anyway. They'll probably find another hole in which to get in. But thank you, everybody, for coming. Everybody in chat, I appreciate everybody coming today. Last week, we had a good time last week. Last week, we were talking about, would Muhammad be on Jeffrey Epstein's island, which is absurd thinking that, Muhammad lived 14 centuries ago, but it's not absurd considering the fact that Aisha was 9. I wanted to add Thekifer.com, thekafir.com, thekafir.com. If you have not gotten over there, take a trip over there. I just posted an article that we're going to be yesterday. I posted an article that we're going to be covering today, how we know the Quran is not true. We know the Quran is not true. The grandkids are out playing in the snow right now. There you go. We don't have any snow on the ground here yet, but I got pictures from back home where they got like 2 feet on the ground. And it's always fun to go out there and do that, pull them around the four-wheeler or go sledding if you have hills where you're at. What was I saying? I was saying something about Thekifer.com. Yes, there we go. Thekifer.com. Go over to Thekifer.com. I posted an article there that we're going to be covering today that deals with elephants in Mecca. What? Yes, the Quran says that there was a group of elephants that attacked the Kaaba in Mecca. And then they had an air force that accompanied them with a bunch of birds that dropped rocks on them with evidently their name on or something. Can't remember how that whole thing goes, but we're going to cover that today. And among other stories that we find in the Quran that just they're just not true. And it clearly shows that it is false. And anybody that believes in that, I don't know. You just can't. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with people like that. You try to educate them. You try to be nice and try to extend to them the love of Christ and try to share with them the truth and show them how absurd some of the things that are in that book, which we're going to do today. But ultimately, it is the power of the Holy Spirit, the power of God, that reaches those hearts. The only thing that we can do is, what is this? There's also, so be wary, warn your audience to avoid going to the wrong side. Thecaffirm. Oh, is there really? Thecaffirm. Okay, well, let's post it. Thecaffirm.com. Thank you for that heads up, Nico. So this is the site right there, thecaffirm.com. Merch will be coming when my book is published in 2032. So hopefully
Yes, you are the author of the book. What's the book title again?
The Preponderance. This is where these articles are coming. Last year when I sat there and nugged out 200 pages worth of stuff, these articles that I'm posting on there, I'm just cutting and pasting them and throwing them up there because it's just too easy. I mean, it's a target rich environment. So why not?
So Dr. Eric Keffer is the author of the book, The Preponderance, right?
The Preponderance. It's not published, so I can't really say that I'm an author.
Oh, you're the author of the book. We learned that you can say that.
Oh, we did. Okay,
because I'm also the author of the book, The Unnamed Title.
Oh.
Coming soon.
That is original, yes.
Yes.
Unlike a real author that we have on the panel, Paul, who's authored, I don't know, 17, 18 books. I got 4 of them here. I can't remember. How many you got, Paul?
You can see them all behind him.
Yeah, Paul's the author of the entire book rack behind him. Bookshelf, anyway. How many you got there, Paul? 3, 4? You're muted, Paul.
I think I'm about 8.
8?
And I have another 10 I'm in the middle of processing. Yeah, I've done 4 on civilization jihad, and at least I published 3 on 3 devotionals, and I'm working on another 10 to get out.
Wow. Are they on Amazon?
2 will be out this year, and I have another 2 planned. So I'm working on final edits on the 2.
All right.
Right
well,
now.
Don't be ashamed to bring them here when they do get out and send us the link so we can go in there and order them. And then we'll mail them to you so you can autograph them and send them back to us free of charge.
No problem.
Okay. Where do you begin with something like this? I mean, where do you begin with a topic like this? How do we know? The title of the show is How We Know the Quran is Not True. And, we've done several shows. We've done several shows here on the Cross and the Crescent. And we've talked about different parts of the Quran. And I've actually had a slideshow that I had prepared because I was going to do a debate with the Imam out of Houston a couple of years ago before he lost his noodle and decided to start threatening me and doxing me and all these other things. But we were going to do a debate on the Quran. Is the Quran the Word of God? And I put together a slideshow, and my main objection to the Quran is it's not theologically, because it is. If we look at the Quran is a theological mess, especially if it is supposed to be coming. I'm not gonna get
and that's kind. That is really kind.
I am being kind. I'm trying to be more civil. It's one of my New Year's resolutions.
It's a disaster.
Okay, that's what I wanted to say, but it is. If you look, and here's what is my biggest problem with it. My biggest problem with it is that it claims to follow the same prophets as the Jewish Old Testament and the Christian New Testament. It claims to be from the same God. But actually, it doesn't even claim the same type of inspiration as we find in the Bible, in the Torah, the entire Old Testament, the New Testament, the Gospels. Because when we look at how we arrived at our Bible came to us through divine inspiration. We believe that all the prophets were inspired to write what they did write, or God had what their message was to be conveyed, given to them through divine inspiration through the Holy Spirit. Now you compare that to the Quran. The Quran is supposed to be the direct speech of God, not the inspiration. This is entirely different. And in addition to that, it's not even from God. It's from an angel being given to supposedly to Muhammad. And when we read the Quran sounds nothing like, number one, it's not, there's no basic chronology to it. You don't know where these stories are coming from, how they're being thrown at you. It is an editorial, there's your disaster. It is an editorial disaster. But theologically, it sounds nothing like the Bible at all. Nothing. It sounds like somebody who spent too much time alone in the middle of the Arabian desert during the 7th century. That's exactly what you would expect from the Quran to sound like if it came from an individual. You would expect to find stories that were common throughout the land at that time, interlaced and interwoven into theological discourses that we do find in the Quran. You would expect to find things that are not. You would expect to find just stories, period. And that's what we find in the Quran. You would expect to find all kinds of contradictions between the Quran and the Bible and the scriptures, and that's what we find. You would expect to find historical fallacies, things that just don't. For example, one of the anachronisms that we find in the Quran is that you have the individual from the book of Esther, Haman, who is the protagonist in that story, of course. We find him hanging out with the Pharaoh. The problem is that the story of Esther occurs in the 5th century BC, and the two parts that we find in the Quran where he's hanging out with the Pharaoh are at the time of Moses, and that is 1400 BC. So it's, you're off by about almost a millennia when you start doing, and then plus you're an entire continent away, an entire culture, an entire language. You're just completely out of whack, and that's going to be in this other piece of work that I'm working on slowly but surely, how the Quran tries to corrupt the Bible. Or I haven't decided it's going to be how the Quran tries to corrupt the Bible or how the Bible corrupts the Quran. I think I'm going to do how the Bible corrupts the Quran, because that makes the Quran corrupt.
But in order for something to be corrupt, it first has to be divinely inspired. Quran's not even that.
Well, I don't think it has to be divinely inspired, because then if it's divinely inspired, it shouldn't be able to be corruptible.
Well, okay, let's put it this way.
It has to at least be written somewhat well.
Yeah, it shouldn't look like somebody took a bunch of verses and threw them into a jar and shook it up really good and then put them in the book.
That's exactly what it looks like. I talk about somebody being a waiter or waitress walking along and having all these bones and God knows what all that everything's written on, and oops.
Yeah.
Trying to pick it up and put it in order. That's what it looks like.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. We're going to put this out to a vote, and people in chat can vote also. See, Andrew and Dominic have arrived. Andrew, Dominic. Okay, I'm going to hold you guys accountable. I'm going to count your votes. Hindsight, Nico. You guys have to vote. Okay, so if you think it should be called How the Quran Corrupts the Bible, put A, vote 1, whatever. If you think it should be How the Bible Corrupts the Quran, put B. So let's take a vote here. Rad, what do you say, A or B?
I'm going to go with A.
How the Quran corrupts the Bible. Okay.
Wait. how the Quran corrupts the Bible, or how the Bible corrupts the Quran?
Dude, I explained it to you. Hold on, let's do this again. Okay, so
Uh,
choice A. Okay, so what are you putting it in chat for? Choice choice A, how the Quran corrupts the Bible. That's choice A. Choice B is how the Bible corrupts the Quran. So, Rad, is that A or B?
Ooh, this is a tough one. Yeah, because let's go with B because B is saying, okay, that the Bible is not corrupt, but the Quran is corrupt. Whereas if you're going to say that the Quran is corrupting the Bible, that kind of infers that the Bible is actually corruptible.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I see your rationale behind that. Okay.
Yeah. So I would definitely go with B.
Okay, so let's go with Sharon. Sharon, what sayeth thou?
I said A.
A?
But I do like Rad's logic. Yeah.
You like what?
I like his logic. I like Radical's logic.
Well, why don't you vote with him on that then?
Well, I went with A first.
Okay.
Because the Quran, it corrupts. It's
okay. All right. So one apiece.
I would say it perverts.
I gotta say corrupt because they always say the Bible's corrupt. So I gotta include that in the title of the book. Ed, what do you say?
I say A because
okay, how the Quran corrupts the Bible. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it
Paul,
does.
what sayeth thou?
I say it corrupts, but I'd still rather use the word pervert, but it works with Muhammad perfectly. Pervert.
Okay, so you're gonna go with A, how the Quran corrupts the Bible.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And Mutahari Darcy.
I would I'd go with both.
You can't go with both. This isn't, Florida in 2000. You have to go either way.
I would go with B.
C?
B.
Okay. All right. So
Dr. B.
okay. All right. So
you got the A's.
All right. So let's go through the chat here. I got hindsight. Hindsight votes A. Nico votes A. Andrew finds amusement in it. Dominic votes A. Did Nico vote? No. Nico, did you vote? Yeah, Nico vote. I don't have one from Andrew. How the Quran? What does this say?
He said neither.
Neither? What does he say? Neither.
I'm still for pervert. I'm more for pervert than corrupt.
What does he say? How the written what is that? Quran versus the oral Quran? The written Quran versus that's not the title of the book. That's not the topic of the book though. What is this? What is XS? What is it? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. All right, so we have how the Quran corrupts the Bible, and that's kind of what I was leaning towards. But anyway, that's not done. The one that I do have today that I was going to be presenting several different pieces from comes directly from the preponderance, which I sat down and I nugged out last year for, I don't know, this was more than 2 weeks, but I did keep on writing up until, I don't know. It was probably until May, until I realized, I said, all this really is, and for me just looking at it, all it is just, hammering down on what, where is it right here? Let me get this down right here. This 2-volume set here by Usama. He does a wonderful job of it, more than I could ever think of doing. So I got to thinking, I said, you're just repeating something that somebody has already done. So try to do something different. But what do you do with all of that that you've already written? I just don't want to throw it in the garbage can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start posting it on Thekifer.com. And in Thekifer.com, I have this article, or not, I don't have this. No. Let me go to the article that I do have up here. And I titled it, what did I title it? I said, Dumbo in Mecca. or yeah, Dumbo in Mecca. I think that's what. Let me check here. Dumbo in Mecca ? So if you want to guys see that, you have to go to the website. You have to go to the website in order to see that. And the reason why I have Dumbo in Mecca on there is because there is a verse in the Quran that talks about that. And I'm going to read it to you here. It is Surah 105. Let me make this big enough so everybody can see it. Surah 105. And here's what Surah 105 says. Surah 105. Not like that. Surah 105. Well, that's fine. We can do it like that. Seest thou how the Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? Did he not make their treacherous plan go astray? And he sent them against flights of birds, striking them with stones of a baked clay. Then did he make them like an empty field of stalks and straw, of which the corn has been eaten up. So here you have a story. That is thought to have taken place in Mecca, where you have the Kaaba being attacked by a group of elephants. This is true. You have the Kaaba being attacked by a group of elephants. And here, in addition to this, let me just read you some of the commentary from Ibn Abbas. Here's Ibn Abbas's commentary on it. He says, and from this narration on the authority of Ibn Abbas, that he said about the interpretation of Allah saying, have you not been informed, O Muhammad, in the Quran, how the Lord dealt with how your Lord punished and destroyed the owners of the elephant, the people of the Negus, who intended to destroy the house of Allah. So with Ibn Abbas, or somebody quoting Ibn Abbas, on the authority of Ibn Abbas, okay, is what it says. You have people from the Negus evidently trying to destroy the Kaaba with elephants. Ibn Kathir doubles down on that, saying that they were trying to want to use a big elephant to demolish the Kaaba. Let me bring this back up here. Want to demolish the Kaaba. Their intention was to use this big elephant to demolish the Kaaba. They planned to do this by fastening chains to the pillars of the Kaaba. Okay, number one, there are no pillars in the Kaaba, Ibn. I'm not sure if he's aware of that, but there are no pillars in the Kaaba. And then placing the other ends around the neck of the elephant, they would make the elephant pull on them in order to tear down the walls of the Kaaba at one time. Okay, and then up here in the other one, you had a group of elephants, the owners of the elephants, plural. And then Al-Jalalain, have you not considered? Let me bring up Al-Jalalain here. Just make sure that I'm not being accused of making this up. King of Yemen and his troops have built a church in Sana'a in order to divert pilgrims away from Mecca to it. A man from among the Banu Kanaya, oh, that's not good. Defecated in it. Says, oh, no, that's not good. And they knocked down the Kaaba. So he approached Kaaba with troops riding Yemeni elephants, notice plural, with Mahmud at the vanguard. Okay, so Al-Jalalain. Now okay, so here's why this is a bunch of bunk. I'm sorry. I went in and I did a little research. Where is my source here? My source is I can't find it, but anyway.
I have a source from Ahmad ex-Muslim about that.
Who? Would you say
Ahmad ex-Muslim? You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Oh my God.
Is he what? Oh yeah. The guy that does like the stuff from his car.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I know. Right.
Yeah. He had a really funny thing all about that, and I'll have to find the actual reference that he did because I put it in a big giant sheet.
Yeah. It's okay. Here, so what I did was I went in and I thought, okay, so Mecca, okay, if you don't know anything about the terrain around Mecca, Mecca is a very barren place. It's a very barren region. There's no vegetation in Mecca. It's a desert, and it's like a hard, rocky desert. There's even really sand, but there is sand there, of course. But it's just a really tough terrain. It gets 4 inches of rainfall a year. Let's see here. It gets 4 inches of rainfall a year. So in order to have an elephant survive there, what you have to do, let's see here. Elephants eat about 350 pounds of food a day.
You drink about 100 gallons or more.
Hold on, we're getting to that. Okay. They eat about 350 pounds of food a day, and they spend about 16 hours of their day just eating. That's all they do, just eat. Elephant. I mean, there's some animals that do that, like cows sit there and eat all day and chew on their cud or whatever. But also they need water. Now, just for their consumption, they need at least 20 gallons to consume. That's just their daily consumption. That does not include the water they use to cool themselves by squirting it on their body. So I guess you could recycle the water if you squirt it on your body and you had a way to suck it back up and then drink, whatever. But why bother? I mean, I don't get that. I mean, you would have to. So in other words, what you have to do now, the total, and this is in Mecca where the temperatures range between 89 to 112 degrees year round. So you have to carry, let's see, a minimum of 350 pounds of food and 167 pounds of water at a minimum. That doesn't even include the cooling water. That's just 20 gallons of water would be 167 pounds for one elephant, 1 day. One elephant, 1 day would require a total, what is that, 450 plus 67 is 517 pounds. 517 pounds for one elephant 1 day. And you have to cart that across a desert. And let's say that you're on this trade route that supposedly went to the east of Mecca. That means that you would have to come off of that trade route. That there isn't any water up there either. You would have to come off that trade route down 3,000 feet to attack an insignificant shrine that did not exist at the time, with elephants that somehow by a miracle can survive in the desert. Now, does that mean that the Quran is wrong? Is not from God? Yes. That's at least Surah 105.
But you just said it. They were miracle elephants. The Quran is a miracle. Therefore, the elephants are a miracle. Don't you see? You just proved that alhamdu to Allah. Alhamdu to Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
Well, they're more imaginary than a miracle.
Well, that's true.
The thing is it's 2024 and we know better. And to say
No, for the law, Lord.
What?
Allah knows
Oh, you
best.
need to put up Nico's comment.
Whose comment?
Nico.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. Hold on. Let me put this over here. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this to come up. Hold on.
It's true Islamophobia at its finest.
Thank you. Let's see here. Let me put this up here. They breast Jewish. Where did it go? Windows right there. There we go. Dumbo. It's Dumbo in Mecca. Was Dumbo a flying elephant? Dumbo was a flying elephant. There we go. Already done, Nico. Thank you for the advice. Absolutely right. Okay. Anybody else have any more comments on that? Before we go on, let me take this off here. They were flying elephants. Okay. Here's the next. Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta say this. Are we saying Disney has described Islam before they even knew it?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Another crying miracle. You see that? It actually told the story of Dumbo before Disney. See, Disney stole it.
It provided a prophecy. This is a prophecy
Yes.
from the prophet of Dumbo.
Yep. All I'm due to Allah.
Man, that's
All
just
ham
okay.
to
So
Allah.
I am inadvertently providing some credibility to Muhammad's prophethood because he
Why would you
prophesied
do
to
that?
Dumbo. I don't know. I'm feeling bad about it now. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm gonna take that off of my website now. We're having that up there. Gee whiz. Okay, this next one, Alexander the Great. Now,
Well, this is my favorite.
well, no. This is no. Well, maybe you know what I'm going to talk about, but because the one with we could talk all day about the sun setting in the muddy pool of water. Is that what the one we were talking about, Rad?
No, just the whole fact that they believe that Alexander the Great was a prophet.
Oh yeah. He was supposed to be, and he sets up Alexander the Great to do a lot of Kanaane as being somehow a prophet of God. When we think of Alexander the Great, you cannot think of a greater example from history of what a pagan leader. Well, you can, I suppose, but he's top 10 material. Let's just put him there. He's top 10 material of being a pagan. But yet here you have him being portrayed in Islamic literature as, or the Allah, for that matter, being portrayed as somehow being a prophet of God. But there's a story there's actually two stories about Alexander that are very, are just so far-fetched that it just makes you go, really? You really? The first one is the sun setting in a muddy pool of water. We're not even going to go there because we've done that here. We've talked about, setting up a real estate a joint venture between all of us to buy that property where that sun sets in that muddy pool. It's just the location is a little hard to pin down, so we're all hanging on to our dollars for that. But this other one is a less known one, and this occurs in Quran chapter 18, verse 95 to 97. 95 to 97. So let me go ahead and read this one. I have to represent, I think. Let me do this. Represent. There we go. Okay. It says, he said that wealth, authority, and power in which my Lord had established me is better than your tribute. So help me with the strength of men. I will erect between you and them a barrier, meaning a wall. Give me pieces of blocks of iron. Then when he had filled up the gap between the two mountain cliffs, he said, blow, till when he had made it red as fire, he said, bring me molten copper to pour over it. So they, the Yaju, Majuj, Gog, and Magog, were made powerless to scale it or dig through it. Okay, so here you have Allah, or not Allah, you have Alexander the Great. You have Alexander the Great constructing a wall between two mountains. Alexander the great engineer, is constructing a wall between two mountains. In the 4th century BC. Okay, no, it's not funny yet, Ed. Well, yes, it is. It is funny now, but you're right. You're okay. Yeah, it is.
There is.
Okay, he's building this wall between two mountains, and he's making it out of iron, blocks of iron, and he's covering the iron with copper. So let's just think of the logistics of this. Well, hold on. Before I do that, let's get some commentary. So we can't be accused of, taking this out of its context. Here's this is Ibn Abbas. He says, give me pieces of iron till when he had leveled up the gap between the cliffs, he said, blow. And so they blew into the fire till when he had made it a fire. He says, when the iron became as hot as the fire and thus melted, he said, bring me more molten copper to pour on the wall. And Gog and Magog were not able to surmount, to climb over it, nor they could pierce it from beneath. Al-Jalalain. Let's see what Al-Jalalain says. Al-Jalalain says, the wealth wherein my Lord has empowered, but it's better than tribute, but I shall build for you the barrier without demanding a fee. So help me with strength in which I will demand from you, and I will build between you and them a rampart, a fortified barricade. Bring me ingots of iron, namely pieces thereof, as large as blocks of stone to be used in the construction. So they're going to use iron to construct this wall, folks. Not out of rock. This wall is made out of iron. And let's see here. In construction, placing between them firewood and coal to heat this up, okay, until they leveled up the gap between two flanks, or whatever, meaning two flanks, the mountains. He set up, okay, so in other words, they're building this wall in between these two mountains. Okay, so who else do we got? Let's see, Ibn Kathir. Okay, Ibn Kathir. Here's what Ibn Kathir has to say. I will erect between you and them a barrier. Give me zumbar. Zumbar is the plural of zumbra, which means pieces or chunks of something. This was the view of Ibn Abbas. These pieces were like bricks or blocks, and it was said that each block weighed one, whatever this is. Then he lifted up the gap between the two, filling the width, the height of the gap. So he filled the height and the width of the gap with iron. Iron blocks. Iron blocks. A wall to set up a barrier between two mountains, so an army cannot pass between these two mountains. Okay, now let's see, who is this in this letter?
And?
No, I'm not done. Hold on, I'm far from done. I'm ready to. Okay. Let me see here. Now this wall. Let's see. Each of these blocks would have been 45 inches. Each L is about 45 inches. The wall would have been around 225 feet high and 45 feet wide, and located in the Caucasus Mountains. Now, this is an anachronism. This is the plagiarized story, is what it is, and it comes from a discourse. Let me see here. Let me put this up on the screen so you don't think I'm making this up. A discourse composed by Mar Jacob upon Alexander, which made against Magog. This is the name of the story, and this is from the history of Alexander the Great, being the Syriac version. Okay, so in other words, this story is a rip. It's another one of Muhammad's plagiarisms. It's where he plagiarized the story, like the one that dealing with the raven from the Midrash 4.5 or 9.5. The story of Bathsheba, the Queen of Bathsheba, or the Queen of Sheba. I'm sorry, the Queen of Sheba. That was a plagiarized. Christ not being crucified. That second great treatise of Seth. That is a plagiarism. So this is just another one of his plagiarisms that we run into. So if Alexander the Great, just ask yourself, guys, just ask yourself the simple question. If Alexander the Great erected a wall 225 feet, made of iron, but any wall for that matter, I guess the Great Wall of China. I mean, how old is the Great Wall of China? Does anybody know that off the top of their head? How old that wall is?
How tall is it?
How old is it? When was that wall built?
It's like 200 BC. It's old.
Yeah,
well,
it's like.
I mean, it's been built over centuries, but it was started like 200 BC.
Somebody Google that, fact check that for me, please. I'd like to, because when we talk about walls,
2,243 years.
How long? What?
1,243. And just like what Rad was saying, it was 220 BC.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's
So
2,700 years old.
okay. So it's old. Okay. Let's just put it that way. It's old. But the thing with the Great Wall of China is that we still, I mean, it's still there. We still have evidence for this, correct? Would everybody agree on that?
That's
Yep.
fact, Jack.
Okay, so
Yep.
having evidence for a structure so large, but what is it made out of? What is the Great Wall of China made from?
Stone.
Stone and bones.
Stone, right? Okay,
Bones.
stone and people's bones, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So so how do you make a wall 225 feet high, 45 feet wide, made of iron, and leave no trace of it?
Yeah, you have to have a really hot fire. You have to have iron ore, and they didn't have any of that.
Right. So again, here's the problem. You know, you're gonna want to have this in your Quran. You're gonna want to have this story in the Quran. But yet, when you're going to be challenged on that, what is the response? I don't even know what response that you would come up with something like that. Well, it happened.
Well, I would say that probably what they did is they went to the planet Mercury and got all the iron ore that they needed and brought it back to Earth, and that's how they did it.
Are you sure it was Mercury and not Venus?
Well, there's a lot of iron ore on Mercury. We don't know about Venus because we can't see through its clouds, but Mercury's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Okay. So if we want to say, would you say that if this verse, chapter 9, not chapter 9, what chapter was that? I was just there. I'm sorry. This is chapter 18, verses 95 and 97. If these were in the original Quran, that the Quran would be false. I think we can get a unanimous yes on that, because there's no way that anybody can construct a wall using that type of technology in the 3rd century BC, 4th century BC, at the time of Alexander the Great, to transport that much iron, process that much iron to build these big blocks, 45 inches wide or 45 inches tall, how bigger they were, and position them within a valley in between two mountains, 225 feet high, and not leave any type of archaeological evidence for anybody to find ever. And I don't recall. I mean, and this is what everybody assumed. This is a story. This is a made-up story about Alexander the Great. But the problem with Muhammad is that he didn't know if the story was being made up or if it was true or not. He didn't know the difference. It's like David Wood says Muhammad wouldn't know the difference between the Bible and a telephone book. And that rings so true. And the reason why is that he was, or supposed to have been, illiterate. So how is he supposed to know that this story is made up? Well, he doesn't.
Yeah, there's no way in that day and time they could have produced that kind of iron. I'm sorry. No way. It's impossible. It's improbable, and it's ridiculous that anybody would even entertain that idea.
But 1.8 billion people do. That's the problem.
Yeah, but the problem is they can't prove it. They just believe it, and that's stupid. That's dumb. Hello? I know. I'm not saying hello to you. I'm saying hello to them.
I know what you said. Yeah, hello. Why do you believe this kind of stuff? Well, because we do.
Hey, look at they believe in Mecca, and it's proven that Mecca. All the mosques are pointing to Petra, not Mecca, and Mecca was not on the route, the trade route.
It couldn't be because it's on the desert side of that trade route, and we all know now that the trade routes all ran up through the Red Sea. There were all on the other side of the Red Sea, not on the Saudi Arabian side. Which Saudi Arabia, by the way, just in case nobody knows, wasn't a country until 1932. But that's besides the point.
And plus the description, it doesn't play out. There's just nothing there. You know, all the trees and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Nothing.
It's a desolate wasteland. It's
Yep.
high desert.
We did a show on that. Hold on. If anybody's interested, we did an entire show discussing the historicity. Thank you, Paul. The historicity of Mecca. And we did that February 5th and February 12th of 2023. We did that last year. So if you all want to go back and review those shows, we did a complete show discussing why Mecca did not exist in the 7th century. We just showed why Mecca could not have been part of a trade route. It makes zero sense to be part of a trade route because it is 3,000 feet off of the plateau. And if there was indeed goods being transported up and down that trade route, which there's not good evidence demonstrating that, because if all you have to do is just go 60 miles west, and that's where the Red Sea is. So why take it over land when you can just send it up the water? That makes zero sense. But if you want to, if you want to include Mecca, you're going to have to explain why in the middle of a barren desert, you come 3,000 feet off of a plateau to a place that has no water, has no vegetation, and has no tenable use whatsoever when it comes to trade value, and explain it.
Only Allah knows.
Only Allah knows. Allah knows best. There you go. Right.
It must have been on the back of that giant elephant.
Well, if you go and you look, as a matter of fact, I think I still have the article brought up on my phone. The water going into Mecca within 100 years had to come from an aqueduct. It doesn't look like I still have it up. No, I don't have it up. I thought I still had it up, but it was built. The aqueduct was. Wait a second. This isn't right. Is that right? Evidently, it is. Okay. The aqueduct was built over 100 years after the time of Muhammad.
Eric, you missed Fiona.
What?
You missed Fiona.
Who's Fiona?
Look at your.
Who is this? Who is this person?
Dr. S. Kufarphobia.
Is that Kufarphobia?
Yeah.
Arabic. Dr.
Dr. Arabic.
I didn't even get that. What a moron. Sorry. I'm sorry. He has too much fun with that kind of stuff. I'll tell you what, if you ever want to get on a guy's good side, that's the guy to get on his good side. And the reason why is he sends me, I don't know how many different books or PDFs he sent me, but he is like this wealth of textual knowledge.
Yeah, and he doesn't send me anything, man. I mean, what's up,
dude?
Better
get in the Skype group.
You got to ask. Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah,
by the way, I think those 3 books would be very good books to do a series on, because they deal with the history or the supposed origins of Islam.
And that's right up my alley. You're right. You would think I would want to do a series on something like that.
I mean, let me tell you, those books are going to be damaging with all the information. And I've just read a little bit.
Well, let's start making plans for doing it around, and I don't mean to sound facetious here, but around June, because after May, I'm going to have all kinds of free time.
Well, and another thing that you guys need to know is that, Al Fadi is working on his thesis about the Quran. And, oh my goodness, this guy comes from, that area. So they're not happy with him whatsoever. So keep an eye on Al Fadi and what he's doing.
That's his. So what is the thesis? What is the thesis of his dissertation? Do you know, Ed?
I'm pretty sure it's proving the Quran completely accept false can't be possible.
Well, you know what he's probably doing? He's probably tuning into this show right now. Thinking, oh man, that was pretty good with Kaffer.
Well, I do know that his mentor is Jay Smith. So
yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff that I get from, because I took all of Jay's classes out there out at Veritas. So I have a lot of that material. So I'm sure that many of a lot of the linguistic parts of it, though, I'm sure it's going to be organic to Al-Fadi himself.
He had some good stuff about the water that they have to bring into Mecca,
right,
just for the Hajj.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's insane what they have to pump in from the Red Sea to Mecca.
Yeah, there's like this entire what do they call it? Distillation, where they distill. No, desalinization.
Desalinization, yeah.
Desalinization, not distill. I'm thinking they're making
Jack Daniels.
They're making Jack Daniels, but they're not Jack Daniels. They don't make Jack Daniels. But the desalinization process from the Red Sea, they have to, and then they have those huge tanks sitting up there on the hills around Mecca itself. Let's Kufarphobia. Let's plan something. We'll talk offline about doing something later on this year with those, because you're absolutely right. And the thing that what we don't want to sound repetitive when we start looking at some of the shows that other people do. They're more focused on the theology of Islam, and I'm really not interested in discussing the theology of Islam, because that would give some type of legitimacy to that book. And the fact of the matter is that the book deserves zero legitimacy because of, number one, the stories that we find in there. We know what type of stories we find in there, but also it gives legitimacy to the historicity that surrounds it, which would namely be Mecca itself in the 7th century and Muhammad as a prophet. They naturally make this. They begin with the assumption that Mecca existed in the 7th century. They begin with the assumption that Muhammad was a historical figure from that time period, and they proceed forward, and they don't even dare to question, well, wait a second, how do we know Muhammad existed at that time? What evidence do we have for that? How do we know Mecca existed at that time? What evidence do we have for it? When you start putting all this together, it just blows up in their face. And this is why they never debate it. They never will debate it. Oh, we'll debate it if we can debate the Bible too. No, the Bible's been it's the most criticized book on the planet. There has been more books, more literature written providing a textual criticism of the Bible than any other book. And if you want to talk about that, you go ahead. Nobody cares anymore, because it's been clearly demonstrated that there's more evidence supporting the historicity of the Bible, the theology supporting the Bible, than any other book on the planet. It's the anvil that has worn out every hammer taken to it. Okay, let's go to this next one. This next one's kind of the fun one, because we had a certain imam from Houston on here one day, and he threw this verse out there. Or no, maybe we threw this verse out there. I can't remember how it went, but he sent me on a mission to go find out which Jews this pertained to. And so let me go ahead and bring this verse up. It's Quran chapter 9, verse 30. Now, keep in mind, this is right after Quran 9:29. The one that says to fight those who do not believe in Allah and his messenger in the last day. And you have to pay the jizya. You know that verse, that peaceful verse right there. Okay, so this one, 9:30. It says, and the Jews say Ezra, Uzair, is the son of Allah, and the Christians say Messiah is the son of Allah. That is the saying of their mouths. They imitate the saying of the disbelievers of old. Allah's curse be on them. how they are deluded away from the truth. Now, I'm not sure if Allah is speaking in the third person here, because if this is the word of Allah, if this is, what Allah gave to Gabriel and Gabriel gave to Muhammad, why would it have to say Allah's curse? Why doesn't it say my curse be upon them? I don't understand that.
Here's kind of a fun fact that I just noticed something. You know how the transsexuals always consider themselves they, them? No, seriously, think about this.
The
They,
transsexuals,
them.
what again? Say that again.
The transsexuals, their preferred pronouns are like they, them, always in the plural. Well, Allah always speaking to himself in the plural. Think about this for a second. What do the demons refer to themselves as in the Bible? They, them, we. Okay, so you got Allah and the transsexuals referring to themselves in the third person as we, they, them. Okay, Legion.
Legion.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say Legion.
See,
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I was the demon. No, seriously. That's what I'm telling you, and transsexuals do.
Well, you don't have to convince me. Allah is a lie. He's got all the attributes of Satan, plus the title Lord of the World. That's it.
I'm sorry. Go say that again, Sharon. I wasn't. I did.
The title Lord of the World is mentioned over 60 times in the Quran.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that maybe it's just the opposite, because if you're saying that he's a demon, they're demons, maybe it's Allah who's transitioning. Maybe it's if we're gonna be consistent in making that application. Yeah. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made that.
Yeah. Okay.
Muhammad did like to wear women's clothing, so he's a trendsetter. He was a trendsetter back in the day.
Better watch what I say. I might get fired from my job.
Has that ever happened yet? The
Not
protest
yet.
ever happened?
But we haven't heard. I haven't heard from. If you all don't know, we've had Marshall on here. Do you guys remember we had Marshall on here a couple of weeks ago? You guys remember this? We had him on. Actually,
Yeah, they freaked out on us. You know what?
Right. He lost his flippin' lid, and he started sending me emails again, threatening a lawsuit.
He's showing us what Islam really is, and he's a little girl.
I'm so sorry.
Well,
Manifesting.
he started manifesting again. You're exactly, and he started doing all these things
lawsuit.
Right. He started going through this whole litany thing that he had done before. It's the same type of threats. I'm going to get you fired. I'm going to file a lawsuit. I'm going to start doing. I think, dude, didn't you just promise me that, or apologize for doing this and swear that you're not going to do it again? And what does he do? He turns around and does it again. So, anyway, all right.
Well,
so let's.
What he needs to do is get him some vag cream.
Well, we should play the videos of him and his boxing workout, and he wants to beat me up. He said for $500. I don't know if I got to pay him or he's going to pay me for a boxing match. I don't know.
What I remember seeing you talking about that. He wanted to do that. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. It's just that when we start thinking about this imam. Okay, let's get back to this imam. The imam was on the show, and he makes the claim that that the Jews worshiped Ezra the same way as Christians worship Jesus. Now, there's a couple things about this verse that I want you to take a look at real quick. The first one is that Christians say Messiah is the Son of Allah. Now, notice he uses the proper name here. Whoops, what did I do here? Did I do that? Exit full screen. I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. Escape. There we go. Notice he uses Ezra, a proper name here. But here he uses a title. Now, there's another place in the Quran where Muhammad messes up, and he says he calls Jesus Messiah Jesus, using that as his proper name, not understanding that Messiah is a title. It's not. It's not. It's not a name. It's not a proper name. It's a title. Number one. Number two, number two, he says that Ezra, Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah. And Christians, hold on, Christians say Messiah is the son of Allah. Now, Christians do say that Jesus is the son of God. This is true. So if he was,
Yeah, we don't. No. It's not true because we say he's the son of Yahweh. We don't say he's the son of Allah. You gotta keep that straight, man.
Okay, all right, but okay, all right. So he's wrong in that sense. However, if let's just exchange because you know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to run to
Well,
what
they're going to
what
try
do people what do Arabs call God?
You
In
got to try to, and you can't let them do it. I'm sorry.
I'm just
You can't
talking.
let
This
them
is
do it.
but this is the argument that they're going to make, and I don't want to get caught down in the weeds with them because it's that omits the entire premise of this error. I mean,
Yeah,
you can sit there and argue that, and you can.
But the problem is that their Quran confirms the Torah and the Gospel, and we have all the manuscripts to the Gospel before, during, and after Muhammad's time, and they all match up. That's a huge, major problem.
It is.
So
I agree. I agree with you,
dude. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of people leave Islam just because of that. So
well, I see your point, and I agree.
And you can't let them just skip over that stuff, man.
Well, I want to stay on the same topic here. Here's the point that I'm trying to make though with this.
But I got you.
The main point is right here. The main point is that Jews, he says Jews say that Ezra is the son of Allah. So the question is do Jews, I got to sneeze.
God bless you.
It's just more accusations out of nowhere. That's all it is.
Man.
I did it, you man.
Okay, so do Jews say that Ezra is the son of God?
No.
Okay. Let's look at what the commentators say. Let's go to Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas tries to be a little more clear. He says the Jews of Medina say Ezra is the son of Allah.
Wait.
That is their saying.
Is Ibn Abbas a Jew?
No, Ibn Abbas was a pagan.
Okay.
Or Muslim. Same thing. Who said that Allah, okay, so they imitate the saying of those who believed of old before them, disbelievers in Mecca, who said that Alat, Al-Zuzah, and Manat were his daughters. Jews claim. So what he's doing is he's throwing this into the same genre as what the Nabateans did in their worship of Alat, Al-Zuzah, and Manat. But then at the same time, Christians claim that Jesus was the Son of God too, that he was Allah's partner. Okay, so when we look at what Ibn Abbas is saying, Ibn Abbas is not deviating from orthodoxy here. He is saying that just as the Christians call Jesus the Son of God, so do the Jews call Ezra the Son of God. But that's not true. And the reason why it's not true is because if you research this, you will not find a Jewish tribe at any time, at any place, in any part of history that worshipped Ezra as the Son of God. You just don't find it. Not in the same sense, because you notice it says if you go to that verse, it says it in the same sense as Christians worship Jesus as the Son of God. And you do not find Jews doing that at all. If you do, send me an email. If you're watching this later, send me an email, and I will make a public retraction from what I'm saying there.
That right there destroys the Quran. Boom.
Yeah, that's just another example of the Quran being wrong. And you have Ibn Kathir. Hold on, let's bring up what Ibn Kathir says. When he writes, fighting the Jews and Christians is legislated because they are idolaters and disbelievers. Allah exalted encourages believers to fight the polytheistic disbelieving Jews and Christians who uttered this terrible statement and utter lies against Allah. Jews, they claim that, as for the Jews, they claim that Ezra was the son of God. Allah is free of what they attribute to him. And as for the misguidance of Christians, over Isa, it is obvious. So this was why Allah declared both groups to be liars. So Ibn Kathir, Al-Jalalain, Ibn Abbas, they all agree with Muhammad, Jibril, Allah, or whatever, that Ezra, Jews said that Ezra, they said that Ezra was the son of God. The problem is, let's see, I have also put something in here. The prophet, some companions' cross will go to the cross. Then they said the Jews, what did you do? They reply, we used to worship Ezra. Okay, so you have here we go. You have a narration in Sahih Bukhari. The companions of the cross will go to their cross. Then it will be said to the Jews, what did you use to worship? And they reply, we used to worship Ezra as the son of Allah. Notice this is Sahih Bukhari. Sahih Bukhari. Then it will be said that the Jews used to worship Ezra. Again, I would ask anybody to provide me evidence of where the Jews have worshipped Ezra as the son of God. Anybody. Again, you can't do it. And since you can't do it, the Quran must be wrong. And if the Quran is wrong, it is not from God. And if it's not from God,
This accusation came out of nowhere, as usual.
Yeah, well, I do not, and that's when we look at some of the other stories, Darcy, we look at where, like for the last one that we just did with Alexander the Great in this wall. We look at that comes from a story. It's just a story, which Muhammad couldn't tell the difference between just a story and something that was actually true. And this was a story about the wall, and therefore that pre-existed, and so therefore Muhammad believed it. This one, you're right. It comes out of nowhere. I don't know where he got this. Nobody knows where he got this. Because there are no Jewish tribes out there in any literature that anybody can find anywhere that say that Ezra or Jews worship Ezra as the son of God. It's just not there. And if it is, you can go to my newest favorite website, Answering Christianity, and see if they got anything. Or you can go to Islamic Awareness and see what those two sites might have to say about it. I couldn't find anything on there saying where this Jewish group was, or this group of Jews were.
Because there is no group. Because what happened was, and you can read this in the Sirat literature, Muhammad didn't know anything about Quran, or didn't know anything about Torah, or the Tanakh, or anything about Judaism. And he and his cohorts would buy what they were thinking was scripture from the Jews. And the Jews would just sell them bunk. They would make stuff up. And they would sell it to them. And they would laugh at them. Because then he would go to the Jews. He would say, see, I am a prophet. I know more about your scriptures than you do. And I cannot read. And they would be like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? That's not in our scriptures. You're a moron. And then that's when Muhammad would get really mad at the Jews. And he would go and kill them for making a laughing stock out of them. But yeah, there's nothing in there. But yeah, so, but why did the Imam tell you had to go look this up?
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. He was, it's like, when he came into the show, you got everybody and their brother telling him he's an idiot, and he wants to, defend himself. So while he was in the process of defending himself amongst, the whoever he was arguing with at that time, I said, look, I'll go ahead and I'll find that source for you. I told you that I'll find that source for you, Kenny. He's like, okay, I appreciate that. I knew it didn't exist. So when he came back out of that, I'm like, I'm having a hard time finding this source. Can you give me some help on this? He goes,
I can't believe
I'll get it after the show. Okay,
You know,
buddy. You go ahead and
it
get
was
it after
fun.
the show.
You know,
It was.
oh,
Go ahead,
sorry.
sir. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. One of the problems when Muhammad was in Mecca is that he would screw up what the Jews believed. And there's a thing here in the Hadith where the Jews went to his uncle and asked him to stop it. It's Ishaq 119 and Tabari 693 and then 95 to 96, where they go into where they're trying to get Muhammad to shut the heck up about their religion.
It's in the Sirah. Is that what you said? Ibn
Well,
Ishaq?
I'll post it. It's easier for me to post it than to say it.
Okay.
I'm terrible with.
No, that's right. It's that's fine.
Okay.
Because if it's in the Sirah, I just pull the Sirah off the shelf and
I'll post one of the paragraphs.
I'd have to remove some of my pig friends though in order to get at it. Come on over here, buddy. There you go. That's all right. So once you find the source for it all.
Well, I posted one of them, and then I posted all the references.
In private chat? Or is that what it is? Yeah, even Ishaq. Okay. Yeah, 119. Yeah.
I can't get into YouTube.
No, that's okay. I see it. Is that on page 119? Or no, that's they have it section. That's right. It's number 119. 113. Whoa, what happened here?
I mean, I'm just copy and pasting it.
Okay. What happened here? My section goes this one. Okay, maybe. Okay, here we go. All right, 114, 115, and 119, and it was called. Cannot font. Khadijah was. I'll read it later.
Okay, yeah.
I'll read it later. I ain't got time to. It's like a half a page long, and I ain't gonna sit there and come through that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Anybody have anything that? Rad, were you gonna bring up one today?
Oh yeah, I had something.
Okay.
So I had a couple points. Is it my turn now? Are you done?
You can go. I just have I have all kinds more to do, but go ahead.
All right. So, well, first let me start with my intro.
Okay, that what I'm
Rock and
convinced
roll,
that's
man.
I'm convinced that's from North Korea.
I love it. Either way, we should be doing it with our children. I'm just saying. So
That's
now that
exactly
I've
right.
up, that's right. Get them pumped up, getting ready for war. Yeah, just saying. Instead, we drug them.
No, just get them ready for class. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So now that I've woken you all up, from just saying. But yeah, so here's a couple things why clearly the Quran is false. Let me just pull this up here. What did I do with this? All right, so let me share my screen here. So I'm going to go over two verses. One of them is we killed the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary. Well, let me share the screen. I should share the screen. Present arms. Share screen.
Who's we?
There we go. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. This is from Surah Al-Nisa 4:145. And for boasting, we killed the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. But they neither killed him nor crucified him. It was only made to appear so. Even those who argue for this crucifixion are in doubt. They have no knowledge whatsoever, only making assumptions. They certainly did not kill him.
Hello?
And who is we in this? Where does the
Sharon,
Quran?
Sharon, mute yourself.
Where does the Quran say who this we is?
All right, Rad, I can't hear you. What
I
happened?
muted myself.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had to put Sharon in the back. She was talking on the phone. So you can bring her up when she wants, when she's done.
No, I muted her.
Oh, okay. All right. So who's it talking about? Yeah, it doesn't really say, I guess. It's assumed that you're talking about the Jews. But you're right. It doesn't mention who they're talking about. But either
Right.
way, okay. But either way, it says that Christ was not crucified. Huh. But we know Christ
the
was
Quran,
crucified.
but the Quran says it
Hmm.
explains everything in detail.
Exactly. But exactly. So here's the thing. So there are two theories on this from the Muslims. One, that Christ's wound on the cross, that he was actually crucified, but was taken down alive, put in a tomb, and given the 12 healing herbs and spices, just like a KFC, that actually cured the crucifixion. And that, so that way he didn't die. Another Quranic miracle. Okay. Or that it was only made to appear that Allah, in his mercy to spare Jesus, took the appearance of Jesus and put him on some innocent dope that was just walking by.
Okay.
And then the guy woke up. Yes, go ahead.
My first question is who else was saved from crucifixion by spices and oils and all that? Who else survived because of that?
No one.
Okay, thank you.
This is stupidity at its finest. But no, so they have the other one where he actually that Allah was merciful. So it made some dope, some schlep that was just walking by. It made it look like he was Allah, or it made it look like he was Jesus. And the Romans seized him and flogged him, beat him, scourged him, and then crucified him and killed him. But it wasn't Jesus. And then somehow that disappearance left him, and that's when he called out that the guy all of a sudden woke up from his stupor and said, "What am I doing here?" You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's that.
That'd make Allah a deceiver, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly. I mean, what kind of mercy is this? He just it doesn't make any sense. But the other one, do I have to reshare now? Or can you see this now? I'll have to represent. Okay. Share screen. 1 through 4, right? Yeah. Okay. So here is what surah is this? Surah Ikhlas. Okay. Say, "O Prophet, he is Allah, one and indivisible, Allah the sustainer, needed by all. He has never had offspring, nor was he born, and there is none comparable to him." Well, it's this one verse right here, verse 3. He has never had offspring. Other translations have it. He is not begotten, nor does he begot. He's not begotten, nor does he beget, something like that. Okay, but clearly this is denying that the sonship of Jesus. This is denying the relationship between the Father and the Son. And there are other verses where it says that Allah is the father of no one. Okay, and actually says also that Muhammad is the father of no one. I believe, not the Quran, but in the Hadith. But either way, these are just two verses of many. Okay, I mean, the whole thing. You read it, and it is rejected by anyone who has a heart for Christ. It is rejected by anyone who has a quest for knowledge. It is rejected by anyone who. Well, let me share my screen again. There's got to be a way where I don't have to keep doing this. I think I just shared the window, maybe. But yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what your challenge is.
Okay. Here, let's take a look at this. So this brings me to the Bible verses here. Okay. I should have had it highlighted. Okay, here we go. This is I and the Father are one. At the time of the Feast of Dedication took place at Jerusalem. It was winter. And Jesus was walking in the temple in the colonnade of Solomon. By the way, there is a colonnade of Solomon archaeologists have discovered it, but there are no columns in the Kaaba that the elephants could pull down. Just saying. So the Jews gathered around him and said to him, "How long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Christ, tell us plainly." Jesus answered them, "I told you, and you do not believe. Duh. The works that I do in my Father's name bear witness about me, but you do not believe because you are not among my sheep." What does that say there, people? Among my sheep. Can you all read that? Can you all see that? Can you make it bigger? I'll make it bigger for you. I think I made it too big. Okay. 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 All right. Well, now, okay. There. Because, true, I say to you, who does not enter the sheep? What? How do I do this? Okay, I made it too big. I say to you, okay. All right. Well, this is bad. Okay, we're gonna have to go through the whole thing now. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he was brought out his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. When I first started to study the Quran, I realized what this verse was saying. Because that voice that is speaking from that Quran is not the Good Shepherd's voice. That is the voice of a stranger. That is the voice of a thief and a robber. Okay? That is a voice that does not enter by the sheep by the sheep pen, but he crawls in a different way. He slithers in. Okay? And that voice that is speaking from the Quran and the Hadiths, again, is a false shepherd. But it continues on. So Jesus said to them again, "Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep." So not only is Jesus the good shepherd, but he's also the door that opens for him. Okay? All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go out and find pasture. Does Muhammad say anything like that in his Quran? Of course not. He can't. Okay? Because he is the thief. He comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Here in the false book of the Quran, he's saying no, the good shepherd does not lay down his life for the sheep. He's saying no, he's saying completely the opposite. He is saying that the voice that we hear of the good shepherd is the false voice. But when he is the robber, he is the thief. He is not the door to the sheep pen, and he is not the good shepherd. He is a thief and a robber. He's a hired hand. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is the hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I own my own. I know my own, and my own know me. Do we know Jesus? Are we his own? When we read that Quran, do we respond to it? Nobody's listening to me?
I'm listening.
Did I lose you? Okay. Well, I mean, seriously, when you hear the Quran, do you say, "Wow, that is the shepherd? That is the voice I am to be listening
No.
to"? No.
No.
Just as the Father knows me, and I already read that verse. So they deny the Father, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I laid down my life for that sheep. Well, not according to Quran. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock and one shepherd. So for this reason, the Father loves me. Again, the Quran denies the Father. Okay, the Father loves me because I lay down my life and take it up. Again, both things the Quran denies. Again, denies, okay, that Jesus is the Son of God, denies that denies that the God is the Father, okay, and denies that Jesus laid down his life and picked it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord because I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it up again. Again, the Quran denies this in these two verses. Denies the crux of Christianity. This charge,
Because it's based on a lack of knowledge. It can't even accept the concept of authority. That's what they miss out on. The authority. They miss everything.
Agreed.
Because of that.
Agreed. And also because it's demon inspired. Because Allah is a they, a them, a we, a legion.
Oh, Allah has pronoun problems. I forgot about
Yes.
that.
He's pronoun challenge. Yes. Okay. This charge I have received from my Father. Again, how can you say that these books are comparable when they are fundamentally diametrically opposed? There was again a division among the Jews, so they grumble. And then he goes on. At the time of the Feast of Dedication took place in Jerusalem was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple in the colonnade. So the Jews gathered around him. How long? Okay. I told you, you do not believe me. The works that I do in my Father's name bear witness about me, but you do not believe because you are not among my sheep. Because we can't be, because anyone, sorry, now we can't be, but anyone who believes that the Quran is the word of God is not part of the sheepfold. Is not part of his sheep. You cannot believe, okay, that the Quran is the words of God, okay, and that Muhammad is a prophet of God, and be part of Christ's sheepfold. You can't. It is impossible, okay, because my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life. Again, something that the Quran denies. It says that Christ can't give eternal life, and they will never perish, and no one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of the Father's hand. I and the Father are one.
Red, I think you muted yourself. Hello?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm here. Okay.
There you go.
1 second. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them. Okay, the Father is one. So again, the Jews went to stone him, blah, blah, because they're Muslims. Okay. So, as you can clearly see from this passage, and these two verses of the Quran, okay? These are not the same. These are not the same deity. These are not the same entity. These are not the same voices. Okay? They're diametrically opposed. But I'm going to give you one more verse. Okay? And this is from John, 1 John chapter 2. Okay? What do I do with it? To not be super. It went out from. Okay, here we go. But you have been by the Holy One. I write to you. Okay, here we go. Verse 22. Who is. Well, stop that. Who is the liar? According to John. Who is the liar? He who denies Jesus is the Christ. This is the Antichrist. He who denies the Father and the Son. No one who denies the Son has the Father. Whoever confesses the Son has the Father also.
It means all Muslims are Antichrist.
Yep. There you go. The Quran denies the Father. The Quran denies the Son. The Quran is the liar. Okay? There can be no other conclusion from this. If you were sitting there going to say, I'm a universalist, yes, everything done, no. There cannot be, okay? In any comparison. There cannot be any unison. There cannot be any, joint thing in this theology. Because, again, the Bible clearly condemns the Quran. It clearly condemns the author of the Quran. It clearly condemns their prophet because it calls him a liar. It says they are an antichrist.
And the Quran does nothing but confirm the Bible.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it confirms that it's true because we know that the Quran is false.
Right. And just in case anybody's wanting to know the Quran verses, try 45:16. That's the big one. 40, 53, 54. Then, of course, all the other ones, Quran 3:3 and 3:48, 49:50, all those. Yeah. 5:47.
Yep. So, I mean, seriously, there is no doubt that this is definitely a false book from a false God.
Hey, did you guys ever see the original Greek characters that John dreamed? The original Greek letters that John dreamed, and a lot of people think that says 666. Well, if you take the middle character and you just twist it a little bit, it says Bisma Allah.
Yeah, you can actually see the characters on the base of the clock tower in Mecca.
Which Ed's going to be providing a presentation on that here real quick, I'm sure.
Oh, okay, great.
Man, we made a whole movie about it. Called Imposter.
Your computer crashing, Eric?
Yes, it crashed, and I'm having problem. I can't even bring up a Word document. I'm trying to bring up my Word document, and it's not booting Word.
Did you get a picture of the stop code?
Yes, I got a picture of the stop code.
All right.
And this is what's sad. This has been going on. This has been going on for over a year before I got this computer, my other computer was crashing because it didn't have enough bandwidth. Not bandwidth. What's the word? It didn't have enough core processors.
Memory.
Well, it had enough memory. It just didn't have enough core processors. It was old, right? So I was like, okay, get a new computer. It's got like 20,000 core processors in it. It's got all this memory, but then it's a piece of garbage because it crashes on me all the time. And now I can't even. I'm trying to bring up my book here, and this is like the 18th time that I have clicked on it, and it's not coming up.
You probably got Word, dude. Share your screen again with the team viewer.
Should have gotten one on eBay like I did.
He did get this on eBay.
No, I didn't.
He did.
I thought you did.
I always build my own. I
got it on Amazon.
See, eBay.
Oh, dude.
32. I got 32
Go to eBay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm already looking at other computers that I'm gonna get. It's just it's just frustrating. What?
Eric, you need to build your own, my friend.
Well, I have a friend at church that has offered to do that for me.
You will be much better off because Dell and all those guys, they're really cheap butts. They cheap out their machines.
Yeah,
they're there to make money, right?
Of course, yeah. You're in it to make money, and then you buy the parts that cost the less or the least, and generally you get what you pay for. And he's recommended a couple sites to go to, and I can't remember what he said that the
Newegg.com has a lot of computer parts.
And he sent me a couple sites to go to. Yep. And they'll actually build it for you. You select which parts that you want to go into, and there's a site there that'll actually build it for you and then send it to you.
Well, yeah, you're getting back into the same mess again, and that's why I go to places like that and just buy my own parts and build it myself. Because man, it doesn't take. It really, all in all, maybe it'll take you 2.5, 3 hours to build your complete tower, and then everything else after that, software.
Okay, Ed. Okay. Do you actually think it would take me only 2 or 3 hours to build an entire computer?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. You can do it, man. I got confidence in you.
It'd take me 2 or 3 months, maybe. Not 2 or
Come
3
on,
hours.
man.
I'd probably put stuff in backwards. I'd be frying the motherboard before I even got.
Nah, man, because these things are straightforward these days. You can't put the motherboard in wrong. You can't.
Oh, really? Oh,
Really?
really?
You
Yeah.
can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, Ed, this is a guy that went to change his oil in his car and drained the transmission fluid.
Oh, come on, man. Anybody can do that. That's easy thing.
Oh,
to
really?
do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh.
But
Okay,
I'm
hold
telling
on.
you.
Okay, Ed,
But I'm telling you.
Ed,
But
here's
I'm
what I'm gonna
telling
do.
you.
I'm going to send you my wife's phone number. I want you to tell her that because
Okay.
that happened that was 1992.
Oh, she's
that's-
still reminding you of that?
That still comes up. That still comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer, man. But
Women have incredible memories.
yeah, they remember everything they want to remember. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But
so-
no, you can't put a motherboard in wrong in a tower.
I'll just. He's already told me that he says just tell me what you want and I'll build it for you. And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking I'm almost at that point. I'm probably at that point now. If you want to, if I want to do this right, if you want to do the show right, you just can't. You cannot be lagging out of your own show or computer crashing out of your own show. And this isn't the first time it happened. It happened a couple of weeks ago also. Before Christmas, I crashed 2 or 3 times during one show. I was on Paul's show 3 weeks ago, and I had my Chrome was crashing and my computer crashed. And I just, after a while, I just said, the heck with this. I just, I'm not listening to hosting the show, so I just called it a night. So I'm definitely going to need to do something. I was only going to bring up two other cases here. And I really wish I had my book open because I hate doing this from memory.
Start the team viewer. I can get in. I'll get it launched right away for you, real quick.
Okay. All right. Let me find it. Team viewer.
By the way, I'm looking at Isa's hard drive right now. Isa, what's chunkywomen's.com?
Team viewer.
Isa, are you there?
No.
What's up?
Oh, I found it. It's up. Never, Red. I got it. There was something that I had to click. Stupid man. What an idiot. Okay.
So you got your word up?
I got it. It's up.
Had to click something?
I had to click something. It was a box.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, you can't build a computer. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead. Let's continue.
Okay, make me feel bad. Okay, so this first one deals with the Trinity, the Christian Trinity. The Christian Trinity, let's see here. Here we are. Okay, the Chronic Trinity, Son, Father, and Mary. Let me bring this up here. So if you go to chapter 5, verse 1, doggone you. Chapter 5, verse 116. Chapter 5, verse 100. Here we are.
Yep, that's one of them. Mm-hmm.
That's right there. I'm going to share my screen. I want to share this because I don't like people getting lost in a mess. I know how that can be. Okay, so here you have chapter 5, verse 116. It says, and remember when Allah say on the day of the resurrection, O Isa, Jesus, son of Mary, did you say unto men, worship me and my mother as two gods besides Allah? He will say, glory to be you. It is not for me to add no right, Had I said such a thing, you would surely have known it. You know what is my inner. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so notice you got here. Is that big enough? Let me make this bigger here. There we go. Worship me and my mother. So here you have Allah, the God of the universe, asking Jesus, did you say worship me and my mother as two gods besides Allah? This is problematic.
Blunder.
This is very problematic. And the reason why it's very problematic is because number one, why would Allah, why would the God of the universe be asking Jesus in his sacred word, sacred writings, final message to man, why are you saying, Jesus, why are you saying that you should worship you and your mother as two gods? Why would he say it? Why would you ask him that if A, it had not happened, or B, because Jesus says, no, I didn't say that, then why are you asking that? Wouldn't you know? Aren't you God himself? But more importantly, the only reason, and this is how we know this is a blunder on Muhammad's part, we know that this is a blunder is because nobody believes that Jesus or Mary was worshipped as a god. Even if you go to that stupid, silly sect, the Coloridians, that are mentioned in, I can't even remember whose writing it is. I think it's
three sentences. It's like 3 sentences or 4
yeah,
sentences.
It just mentions them. Even if you say that, even if you mention that, I mean, it's still, why would you say that if only a small sect of nuns out in the middle of the Arabian desert did this? You were speaking, if this is your final message to mankind, why would you do this? So let's take a look and see what the commentators say, the tafsir. Ibn Abbas, what does Ibn Abbas say? Ibn Abbas, didst thou say unto mankind in the life of this, take me and my mother for two gods? It was not proper, nor was it permissible. Thou knowest his mind. You know that I conveyed the commands, prohibition. So Ibn Abbas, doubles down with Muhammad that that was thought at the time. And mention when God says that this is when God will say to Jesus at the resurrection, rebuke of his followers, O Jesus, son of Mary, did you say, take me and my mother as gods? Now notice, in rebuke of his followers, which of his followers says, did you take me or take Jesus, son of Mary, as mother, as gods besides God? Who says that? So Al-Jalalain is doubling down on this and saying, look, somebody was saying that. Then you get to Ibn Kathir. Did you say unto man, worship me and my mother as two gods besides Allah? This is a threat and a warning to Christians, chastising them in public. Well, that's fine if you're going to chastise Christians for saying that. Then you have to first find me a group of Christians that did say that. Where are they? Are they the same Christians? Were they living right next to the same Jewish tribe that worshipped Ezra? Is this some part of the world that people go to commit all kinds of Islamic heresies that has not yet been discovered through archaeological finds or examining some type of historical text that allude to it? Where is this place? Who are these people?
Another huge blunder by Islam.
Yeah, it's here. Hold on, it gets worse. Even Allah, the God of the universe, evidently doubles down on this in Surah 4:171. O people of the Scripture, do not exceed the limits in your religions, nor say Allah aught but the truth. The Messiah, son of Mary, was more than a messenger, which he bestowed on Maryam, created by him. So believe in Allah, say not three. Now notice, Trinity is in parentheses. Trinity is not there. It says three. This is, again, a clear example of Muhammad not having a clue to what Christian theology is all about. This is a clear example where Muhammad thought that the Trinity, this three that he's referencing here, was Allah, Jesus, and Mary. nowhere in Quranic scripture, and to include in the Sirah, to include in hadith literature, do we find a mention of the Holy Spirit? I'm willing to be wrong on that, and be corrected on that, but I am not aware of any ahadith that is attributed to Muhammad where he mentions the Holy Spirit.
Well,
Exactly
Quran-
right, Connie. Look at there. This is exactly what it says. 3, not Trinity.
Yep.
3. There's a big difference.
In Quran 69:44 through 46 says that if Muhammad made a false statement, that his aorta would be cut off and he would die. And guess what? Muhammad died from his aorta being separated. And if you don't believe it, you can even find it in the Hadith, where he says, "Oh, Aisha, I feel as if my aorta is being separated."
Right. Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Sounds like a false
Muhammad
prophet
was
to
a
me.
false
Right.
prophet.
Exactly. Yep. So what I'm looking for is the sect of Christians that is being referenced here in 5:116 and 4:171. Which sect of Christians worshipped Mary as God? And if you can't provide it, then the Quran is wrong. This is how we know. This is, again, the title of the show. This is how we know the Quran is wrong, because we've provided example after example after example. These stories that are in the Quran, these things that don't line up with history, that do not line up with, with basic science. An elephant in the desert, a wall 225 feet tall in the middle of nowhere, made of iron, covered with copper. And here, no, the Quran is obviously a fabrication, a fig Newton of somebody's mind here. Do we have time for one more, or can we be done with this? Can we be done with this show?
No, we got time for one more, dude.
Yeah.
Okay,
always
hold
got
on.
time.
Let's see. Al Jalalain. Hold on. I'm going to see if I have any more to this. What is this? Referring to, oh, here we are. Quran 575. Let's see here. Let me bring this up here. Sorry, I didn't see this part. I wrote it. Quran 575. The Messiah, son of Mary, was no more than a messenger. Many were the messengers that passed away before him. His mother was Sadiqa. She believed in the words of Allah in his book. They both used to eat food as any human beings would. Look how we make the ayat proofs evidence. Okay, so they used to eat food. What does the eating of food signify? Well, the eating of food signifies that they were just human beings. And therefore, they were not gods. Yeah, they ate food, they slept, they passed wind. Oh, do you mean that Jesus pooped? Oh my goodness, he pooped. It's ridiculous the things that they come up with. But anyway, they used to eat food. So here again, you have this accusation. We know they weren't gods. Why? Because they did things that human beings do. But
you know what I say to this? You know what I say to this? Okay.
Oh, no.
Then you can't drive a car. You built a car and did all the things to it to make it to where it's drivable, but you cannot drive it. This is how stupid this idea is.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you use this as an analogy. Yeah.
And then you're trying to do this to God, really?
You know what I would prefer, Ed? I would prefer that you build a computer and then you can't use it. Because that would
no OS, right? Okay, try to use Linux, right?
Actually, Linux is getting much better now, but no. So here's the thing with this. Okay, they completely. It just demonstrates that they completely do not understand the doctrine of the incarnation. Because they actually do, and they do this deliberately. Whenever you're engaged with an Islamicist, with a dawahghandist, okay, they will always say, "You Christians, you believe in the man God." You ever notice this? They do this deliberately. And you correct them as much as you want and say, no, we believe in the God man. And they will say, okay, fine. You believe in God man, God, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. No, it does make a difference. Because the God man says that God became a man. Where what these Muslim dawahghandists want us to believe is that we believe that Jesus, okay, was a man who became God. We do not believe this. We believe that God, as it says in Philippians, okay, did not consider divinity to be something to be held on an arm's grasp. Instead, he humbled himself, even and servant into death, even death upon a cross. I paraphrase there, very loose.
Carmen Christian, we know where you're at. Philippians chapter 2, exactly.
Yeah, but anyway, so they have to superimpose this because again, as the title of the author of the book that we're speaking with here, Dr. Eric the Kafir, will testify, the author of the book, How the Quran Corrupts the Bible, this is how they do it. Okay, this is one of the things they do. Yes, okay. And again, so it's just demonstrating that this false shepherd, this thief, this robber, this antichrist, this voice that is speaking from the Quran that we reject because he is not the true shepherd. He is not the good shepherd. He is not the door to the shepherd's gate. Instead, because he is a thief, a robber, a killer, just come to kill and rob and steal. Okay? And take us away from the true shepherd as if he could do that. Okay? All right? Because he does not understand. Okay? That we believe that before that yes, Jesus Christ became flesh. Okay, that the word entered into human flesh. It became flesh. John 1:1. Okay? Well, we believe that. We believe that before this miracle of the incarnation happened, there was no Jesus Christ. There was the Word, the Memra, the pre-incarnate Jesus, the angel of the Lord. Okay? Okay, who do not tempt. Oh, said Moses, or said the Lord to Moses, I will put my name in him. And do not tempt him, because no, he will not forgive you. So says Moses, or so says the angel, or I'm sorry, so says the Father, speaking of the angel of the Lord. Okay? But anyway, okay, so they do so this Muhammad did not understand this, could not comprehend this. And anyway, I'm kind of rambling on that. I have a question. I'm a Spanish speaker. I'm trying to make videos about Islam, but I'm not sure what kind of topics will be best to teach to Spanish speakers. Any ideas? There's a very good book on the Reconquistador. I'll get no.
Teach them 4:157. That's the only thing you got to teach them. 4:157. I think you covered it, Rad. They deny the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The Quran denies the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Now I get it. You know, we had our brother Chris Krause on here one day, and he says, no, if you think about what they say in chapter 19, okay. 99.9% of Muslims believe that Jesus was never crucified on the cross. Again, this is where you can, it's easy. And the reason why I didn't cover it today is because it's so easily refuted that we've done it dozens of times on this show. When we think of the attribution, when we start thinking about how historical facts are established, in order to establish a historical fact, you only need one reference from something in history saying that an event happened. That's to put it in a history book. You just need something, a manuscript saying, well, this battle was fought here, or so and so went to this school of thought and studied, Greek or whatever. That you only need one reference in order to establish it as a historical fact. You only need two. If you have two references from two different sources citing the same fact, that fact is unimpeachable. You cannot impeach that as a fact. If you feel squirrely and you have, there are three of them, if there's three of them, nobody in their right mind would second guess that. Nobody in the right mind would second guess that. We have, and this is according to, where are you?
It's insane what we have.
Yeah, no. This isn't just me saying this. Where is it? I have it here someplace. I can't find it off the top of my head, but this is according to Islam's favorite Christian scholar, Bart Ehrman. May Allah be pleased with him. According to Bart Ehrman, the most widely cited Christian scholar by Muslim apologists, he says that there are 15 separate attestations to the crucifixion of Christ. The crucifixion of Christ is the most demonstrable event from antiquity. You cannot get, you can talk about all day the resurrection. That is a statement of faith. Okay, but there's strong evidence for that also. But when we start talking about the establishment of historical facts, you have no better attestation for a historical fact than you do for the crucifixion of Christ. And Quran clearly in chapter 4, verse 157, clearly says they crucified him not. And it only made to appear as if he had been crucified. And this is where Rad was talking about, well, you have the swoon theory where he only swooned on the cross, which is a bunch of crap. And I've talked about that extensively on the show several times. Or you had replacement theory where it was Simon the Cyrene somehow wound up on the cross and Jesus' image was put on Simon the Cyrene. You have a bunch of crap is what you do. And the Simon the Cyrene thing comes straight, this idea that Jesus was not crucified comes straight from a Gnostic source, a Gnostic text written down 2.5 centuries after the death of Christ. The second great treatise of Seth. It's in my book here, The Preponderance. It's cited by everybody and their brother. Everybody and their brother knows that this idea that Jesus was not crucified is crap. And this is why we know, this is how we know, this is one of many reasons why we know that the Quran is wrong. So if you want to focus on one topic, you want to do one topic in Spanish, that's the one I would start with.
Just to give you an idea, Bible versus historians, comparison of 29 kings with archaeological collaboration revealed the following. The Bible precisely matched archaeological artifacts in both the names and chronological orders of the kings. Secular historian records seldom match names precisely, and this is being generous. It was hardly ever that the Hebrew writers should have transliterated these names with such accuracy and conformity to the philological principles is a wonder and proof of their thorough care and scholarship and their access to the original sources, that the names would have been transmitted to us through so many copyings and so many centuries in so complete a state of preservation is a phenomenon unequaled in the history of literature. That is Dr. R.D. Wilson.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Ed. There's so many different scholars that have gone in and looked at the historicity of this, the historical aspects of it, the different citations from within and without the Bible, from outside, especially outside of the Bible. To me, those are the most compelling. I'm trying to find Bart Ehrman's. Here, is this it?
Yeah, but Sir William Ramsey, he said this guy was setting out to prove the Bible false.
Yeah, and how'd that work out?
And he found out that Luke was a first-rank historian.
Right, there you go. Yeah. Okay, here in Bart Ehrman's book, Misquoting Jesus, because it's often said that
I got that book before I even knew who Bart Ehrman was, and I thought it was a really good book because his whole thesis is that these textual variants, if I remember correctly, the textual variants. This is when he was before, when he wasn't Muslim's favorite scholar, but his main thesis was these textual variants do not matter. We actually have the core, okay, of the biblical teachings, okay? So when they talk about these textual variants, they do not matter, if I remember correctly. Okay, except he did go on to think the angry Jesus, but he hadn't developed that as this is a problem. But anyway, no, so it was just kind of interesting with Bart Ehrman, how he changed over the years to a complete, total raving lunatic. What's that highlighted? What you got there? I can't read that.
I'm going to read it to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
read.
this is from the 5th edition, I believe. This is from Misquoting Jesus, and this is in the appendix because he was asked questions about. I can't remember which. I want to make sure I have the right edition here. I do not see story behind the Bible cover. This it doesn't matter. Okay, well it does matter because it's not in all editions, but there's an appendix that was added to this edition where it says insights, interviews, and more. Where Bart Ehrman was actually interviewed about his departure from saying that his mentor Bruce Metzger, he had complete disagreement with Bruce Metzger. Here's what it says. Bruce Metzger, your mentor in textual criticism, to whom this book is dedicated, has said that there is nothing in these variants of Scripture that challenges any essential Christian beliefs, the bodily resurrection of Jesus or the Trinity. Why do you believe that these core tenets of Christian orthodoxy, to be in jeopardy? Now he's asking, why do you believe that these core tenets of Christianity, the Trinity, what was the other one that he said? The resurrection of Jesus, to be in jeopardy based on scribal errors you discovered in the biblical manuscripts. Listen to what Bart Ehrman says. He says, Bruce Metzger is one of the great scholars of modern times, and I dedicated this book to him because he was both my inspirations for going into textual criticism and the person who trained me in the field. I have nothing but respect and admiration for him, and even though we may disagree on important religious questions, he is firmly committed Christian, and I am not. We are in complete agreement. We are in complete agreement on a number of very important historical and textual criticism. If he and I, listen to this, if he and I were put in a room and asked to hammer out a consensus statement on what we think the original text of the New Testament probably looked like, there would be very few points of disagreement, maybe 1 or 2 dozen places out of many thousands. The position I argue for in Misquoting Jesus does not actually stand at odds with Professor Metzger's position that essential. Listen to this. The position I argue for in Misquoting Jesus does not actually stand at odds with Professor Metzger's position that essential Christian beliefs are not affected by textual variants in the manuscript tradition of the New Testament.
So why would you be an atheist? I don't get that.
Because
why would you be? Go ahead, Ray.
No, I can tell you the story. So it was either his father or his mother died a horrible, or maybe they both had died a horrible death of cancer, and it was very painful. And they got slept into these faith-based healers, and evidently it bankrupted his mom or something like that. I mean, I guess it was really horrible. Okay,
Whose mom?
Bart Ehrman's mom or
really?
dad. I forget. Yeah, no, they bankrupted him. They ripped him off. No, we're gonna pray to Jesus that's gonna cure the cancer. We're gonna lay the hands. No, they got really sucked into this, and I forgot which it was either his father or his mother died a horrible death of cancer, and it was very painful, and he lost his faith over suffering. Okay, over the question of suffering, he could understand how this loving God could kill his parents, who were good Christians, according to him, or good, faithful, believing, and all they want to do is be healed, and he allowed them to die a horrible death of cancer, and he just could not reconcile that because, well, he didn't believe, because he was not in the hands of Christ. He was not one. You know what I mean? And I guess his wife, or if he's still married, I don't know. This is back in the day. But I guess his wife is a firm believer as well. And she's like, yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if that marriage is still together or not. But yeah, no, that's why he left. He left it over over suffering, not over textual criticism of the Bible, but over suffering. He could not reconcile that, and that's his problem, not mine.
Wow. Yeah. So Christ dying on the cross. Wow. I mean, that's almost hypocritical.
Bless you.
Excuse me. All right. We're going to go ahead and bail on.
I just want to say one quick thing before you play the new code close. The Hamas guy. To our new friend, Coincidental El Islam. I agree with Eric and everybody else. Write on something that you find interesting, or do the video on something you have interesting. But there is a book, since you're Spanish, Spanish speaker, you want to make books or you want to make videos in Spanish. Something that would be interesting would be the myth of the Andalusi paradise. Okay, it's actually a book by Dr. Dario Fernandez Moria. Here, let me share my screen so you can grab a screenshot of this really quickly here. Hold on a second. Very good book. Window. I gotta do the window. There
This
we go.
one, Dan Janasek. Yeah, that's Dan Janasek. Or no, that's not Dan. No, you're right.
Yeah. No, he's a Spanish professor, but he goes through it all. Yeah, check that book out. Okay, you can get it on Kindle, obviously. But yeah,
Don't buy it like Eric and put it on a bookshelf or grad. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, everybody that came today, God bless you for coming. Again, it's always appreciated to have you here, participating in chat, participating in the panel. It's always a ton of fun to come and discuss these topics, guys. The bottom line is after we sit, I could give you all kinds of different examples of why we know the Quran is wrong. Go through the anachronisms, but we've done that 100 times on here. So today I just threw a couple new things out there for us, and Rad presented some stuff. If you really want to honestly look at the Quran and evaluate it the same way in which you evaluate the Bible, it doesn't stand a chance. It really doesn't. And this is why Muslims will not debate the Quran with you, because they know in their heart of hearts that it's not true. And that the only truth that can be truly arrived is something that I honestly believe, personally, that they are spiritually blinded from, and that is the truth and the love of Jesus Christ. And this does not mean that we can, be mad or angry with them or despise them or whatever because of their false beliefs. It's because they're created in the image of God, and we still must pray that they will come to a saving faith in Jesus Christ. All the problems that we see in the world today, the main problems that we see today, specifically the fighting that's going on in Gaza, the only thing that saves those people is the faith in Jesus Christ. That hatred, that blind hatred, demonically inspired hatred that they have in their hearts, that they train their kids with.
There comes a point when God hands you over. 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 9 to 12. Those who want to believe in unrighteousness, God's going to send you a strong delusion and let you believe that lie.
And this is
why when you reach that point, no return, God's going to turn you over to it. Period.
And this is why we should pray that they haven't reached that point, or even if they have reached that point, that somehow God's Spirit will touch them with the love of what Christ has done for us. God bless everybody for coming, and we will be back here next Sunday, come snow, blizzard, or whatever, on the Cross the Crescent discussion group. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you then.
Remember, people, always choose the cow.
Choose the cow. Am I playing that right now?
Yes, you are.
Hallelujah.
If I condemned my father to death, then you should be worried. Because if it comes down to 15 million Jewish innocent people and 300 million Arab clowns, I will choose the 15 million innocent people who did not start this war. If I have to choose between 1.6 billion Muslims and a cow, I will choose the cow.
Choose the cow, people.
Choose the cow. God help us.